Geno Smith has put up a ton of yardage through the passing game, but has also had some interceptions this season. We've described him in the past as like a Rorschach test where you can look at his numbers any which way and describe them all sorts of different ways, and you're probably right, no matter how you describe his play. How would you describe his 2024 season to this point?
Honestly, he gives you a chance to win every single week. Like, I know that some fans who might be on the other side of the coin will tell you, well, he's sometimes the reason why they lose, and I understand that. And football is a game where the quarterback, every move that they make is of paramount importance because it can swing the result one way or the other. But what Geno Smith does, especially as one of the top 3 big-time throwers in the NFL this year and last year, and honestly, any time that he's been on over the last 3 years for the Seahawks, he has been unbelievable at this. 15-yard throws deep down the field, whether it's single coverage or not. This guy is fearless layering the ball. And I think that you saw that on display last week in that thriller against the Rams. Yes, they lose that game, and I think some people might look at maybe a couple of throws that he wishes he had back as perhaps reasons why. But they're only in that spot at the end because of what he is capable of. And I think that when you have a quarterback that gives you this kind of ability, and I want to make it very clear, we're not having a Jameis Winston conversation here. I covered Jameis Winston when he was at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was a beat reporter there. And Jameis was so even with big-time throws and turnover-worthy plays. And, of course, you have the 30 for 30 year with the interceptions and the touchdowns. That's a ratio that you cannot live with. You can live with the ratio that Geno Smith is giving you. The rest of the team and the chemistry within the offense and the play calls and the balance between run and pass, like that is not there yet. And the defense, I think, has been a little bit more of a roller coaster than people thought it would be, especially last week. We're watching these guys like Reek Woolen having a bad game and the coverage just having a bad game. It's not that they're bad players. It's just that defense is going to naturally be a little bit more up and down. So when you take all that into account and I look at what Geno Smith can do for you and the fact that, yes, it's a little bit of a gunslinger's ride you got to be prepared to get on, but this guy can win football games at the highest level for you. And I'm not quick to dismiss a player like that, even if there's a handful of throws that he'd rather have back. In fact, look, Matthew Stafford wins that game, right? Unbelievable last drive, unbelievable last throw. Matthew Stafford had more turnover-worthy plays in that game than Geno Smith did. I went back and I watched the film myself. But nobody remembers that. People just remember who wins. Right. But you've got to be able to find that context within the wins and losses, and that's the truth. So I know people like to blame the quarterback when things don't go well, especially when there's a couple of throws that they'd rather have back. But Geno is one of those quarterbacks in the NFL that I'd ride for every week. He gives you a chance to win football games in this league.
Working against Geno and, quite frankly, very briefly working against Matthew in his final years in Detroit was this idea of, like, look, is the ship gone? Is this quarterback just too old? I think that there's this idea people have, and I don't blame them at all. I mean, this is how Seattle won, that you'll need a young, great, and cheap quarterback in order to get as many shots at a championship as you possibly can. And we do have, as you know, infinite examples of young franchise faces that are winning. Do you think that there are examples we can point to where you go, this is a team that built in a different way and like they won this way? I mean, is there, I guess, history working against Geno? Like, can the Seahawks win a Super Bowl with him?
Yeah, no, I think that, well, you know, can the Seahawks win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith? I think he is of the caliber of a quarterback that gives you the ability to make a deep playoff run. Yes, you know, when you get to that Super Bowl, things have to go well for you as well, right? You have to be healthy. The ball has to bounce your way a little bit. You're going up against some of the best in the world. And so there is I think when people bring up luck, they think that luck is like insulting, like it's taking away from what they actually accomplish. And that's not true. Some of the best and the biggest Super Bowl winners that we have seen, they have a little bit of luck. And sometimes that could just be injury. Well, on that front alone, you look at the Seahawks offensive line. Look at the injuries that they've been through this year. You know, not getting Abe Lucas back and then Fant going down and then obviously Stone Forsythe struggling at his spot. I mean, that's something they have had to deal with. And they have sort of had to move around their offensive philosophy. I mean, you got a game where you're only giving 7 carries to the running backs, and it's like, okay, it cannot be all of that. Yeah. But I think the amount of work that you see Grubb put on Geno Smith's plate tells you right there that they believe that this is a guy who can take them where they want to go on his shoulders. And so, no, I don't think that you have to have a young rookie franchise quarterback on a rookie deal, I should have said, to win a Super Bowl. It helps, certainly with the team building things. We don't have to have that, especially with a player like Geno Smith, who is getting paid a decent amount, but it's not like he's getting paid, record-breaking amounts of money. You can build a team with him. They just have to get a little bit more lucky, especially when it comes to the injury side of things and the team building side of things, certainly the rest of this year. And then, if you got one last ride with all of it,